Welcome to Crosstalk Solutions. My name's Chris, and I'm excited to tell you about the release of UniFi Access. Now, there's been a lot of buzz about this product online. People have been talking about it for a long time since it's been in early access. And now, as of last week, it was finally released from early access, and Ubiquiti sent me one of their UniFi Access Starter Kits to check out and set up with my UDM-Pro. But first, what is this exactly? Well, let's talk about that while I get this thing unboxed. UniFi Access is essentially an access control system, right? So if you have doors that have either the mag locks at the top or sort of the electronic door strikes, like this kind of thing, right? Where it's locked and then, you swipe a card or, use NFC to put a card up next to a reader, it can unlock that door. So that's what this is for, and this is kind of Ubiquiti's version 1 attempt at their access control stuff. So right off the bat, really nice packaging, and we're going to talk about each of the components in this UniFi Access Starter Kit, but I'm not actually going to set this up in this video. So you guys will have to wait for like a part 2 video to see how I set everything up and configure it, because I'm literally just digging into UniFi Access for the first time right now, and so I am a noob at this, and I want to learn a lot more about it before I give you guys some information on the actual setup and configuration of UniFi Access. Really nice box. It's actually magnetic, and if we open it up here, ooh, you guys have seen it before I have. I have not seen it yet. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. All right. So right up at the top here, look at this. Win $100 Ubiquiti store credit. Create a video of your installation and setup of this product and share it with us as a community story for a chance to win $100. All right, well, maybe I will have to do that. Looks like we also have some additional literature that talks about how this thing is to be connected. Now, I already have a ton of thoughts about this device, as I'm sure you do. Since I'm not actually going to be configuring it in this video, if you guys have questions or stuff that you would like me to cover in a configuration video about UniFi Access, make sure you put those down in the comments below. And also make sure you follow Crosstalk Solutions on Twitter at CrosstalkSOL, as I will be tweeting about my setup and experience with getting this product going. So we have a couple of quick start guides. Now, this guide right here is basically showing a wiring diagram of sorts, and it's pretty interesting. So number one, I want to talk about this right off the bat, because online, let's read the description of UniFi Access Starter Kit. It says, comprehensive starter kit with everything you need to set up a premium UniFi Access solution. Okay, so is that true? No, it is not, right? And just for the number one reason, if you look at this little card right here, it says UDM-Pro is required, all right? So you cannot install this as a standalone device. You have to have a UDM-Pro. That's the only device that Ubiquiti has out today, as of the recording of this video, that has UniFi Access software on it, right? So there's no other device you can use to set up this UniFi Access solution. Now, will they be coming out with more devices that have access in the future? I'm sure they will. They're not going to bet everything on, they're not going to put this entire product line contingent on owning a UDM-Pro. That would be just crazy. So I'm sure there will be other products coming out that support access, but for now, as of the recording of this video, that's it. You have to have a UDM-Pro. Let's talk about pricing really quick. The cost of this kit, as you see it here, is $499, which is actually a decent price for the kit. It's certainly a good price to get started with your UniFi Access solution. But if you buy these things separately, the total cost of everything you see here individually is going to be $637, right? So you have the hub itself, which is $199. Then you have the Access Reader Pro at $299. You have the Reader Lite at $99, and you have your set of 20 NFC cards for $40. So basically, $499 is the cost of the hub plus the Access Reader Lite, right? So essentially, you get this extra stuff thrown in for free. So if you're going to be buying a second door or a third door and you need the Pro reader as opposed to the Lite reader, it's actually worth it just to buy another full kit, right? Because these, you'll get this plus you get the hub and the Pro reader, and essentially then you get a free Lite reader and 20 more NFC cards. So again, if you're going to be purchasing this solution, look at the kit and how much it costs versus the parts individually, and then decide, what's going to be the better value. We also have a quick start guide or installation guide for the hub. That is this piece right here. So this is the UniFi Access Model UA-Hub, also known as the UniFi Access Hub, and this is essentially the control center for one door. Now, the interesting thing about the hub, first of all, I have a few interesting things. Look at these ports on the top. So we have power, then we have the Reader Lite, and then the Reader Pro, which those are in this box here. We'll get to those in a second. And then we have a third port for a G3 Flex camera, or at least that's the picture that it shows on here. So they're kind of allowing you to also tie in Protect cameras directly into this device. Another interesting thing about this hub is that it has to be powered with 802.3 BT power. Okay, so that's PoE++, which, like, in preparation for setting this thing up, I set up my new, whatever this is, the 16-port switch Lite, so that I could kind of set it up with this device, not realizing that this hub works off of BT power. And it has to work off of BT power because it's controlling the door, right? Either your magnetic lock or, the lock like I have here, the door strike. It's going to be potentially controlling one of the two types of access, the Pro reader or the Lite reader. It's also potentially going to be controlling a camera, right? So all of that power is going to be going into this device and then out to those various endpoints. And so this has to be BT powered. You have to have a switch capable of PoE++ to use UniFi Access. So again, there's two prerequisites already for this starter kit. Number one, you have to have a UDM-Pro. Number two, you have to have a switch with 802.3 BT. I mean, I suppose you could also use a power adapter. Is this a power adapter for it? Let's see. No, it is not. So this next thing in the box here is a pack of 20 of these NFC cards, right? So you get 20 of these NFC cards. The normal price for these NFC cards is $40 for a pack of 20 or $2 per card. And they also say right here, download the quick start guide by scanning this QR code. I'm going to put this card back into its little holder. But basically, you get 20 of these NFC cards in this starter kit. Now, going back to the hub for a second, this is actually pretty interesting. So something that I think is interesting, I guess it's a plus or a minus about the access control system. Now, you think about a normal access control system, and you are going to have to put in basically a completely separate infrastructure for your access control. Like, there aren't really access control systems that I'm aware of. Maybe like access control systems, but a lot of them don't work off of your existing network infrastructure, right? They typically have their own infrastructure, their own wiring infrastructure, just like this one does. So this one takes 802.3 BT power from your network, but in order to wire this out to the door, you have to have regular wiring using these contacts on the side, and they've got all sorts of different options. I mean, basically it looks like they've covered the gamut of doors that can be open with this thing. It can do the magnetic stuff. You can hook up a siren. You can have a powered or non-powered door strike. Like mine is a separately powered door strike, but I'm going to try to get this to power it so that I don't have to separately plug it in. And then this can kind of go a little bit further away from your door strike, which is nice. This is not like, that doesn't have to be like right at your door strike. So for security purposes, that's a little bit better than like the sort of integrated door strikes like the like this Access 8105E, right? This is your button, and then the door strike comes right out of the button. So like if you rip this off the wall, there's a chance that you could sort of, hotwire the door strike to have it open. In this case, the door strike is powered by this. The access reader is powered by this as well. Separate network cable required from this device, right? Not from your core switching infrastructure. From this device, you have to run a Cat5 cable or Cat6 cable to the reader. And then again, you can keep it separated, which is nice. Now, Access does have options for that, where you can wire this out to a separate relay somewhere else that's not so easy to compromise by just taking this off of the wall. But again, it looks like that problem solved by virtue of having this sort of extra hub here, or this separate hub, instead of having the actual door strike and everything contained within the reader itself. So that's the hub. Again, it'll be interesting to see how that gets all set up. And then we have two separate readers here. So let's start with the small one. So this is the UniFi Access Reader Lite. Okay, so this is one that's made for indoors. And basically you put this on a wall next to a door, and it's got this nice blue LED behind it that sort of shines on the wall and looks all pretty. And then it's a NFC and Bluetooth reader. Because if I'm not mistaken, not only can you use the NFC cards, in fact, let me take one of these out so I can use it as an example. But not only can you utilize these NFC cards, to open the door, but you can also use Bluetooth. So I assume, again, I'm new to this whole thing, so I'm assuming the Bluetooth is that you have an app on your phone, a UniFi Access app on your phone that can be used to unlock this as well as the key card itself. So this one's pretty straightforward. This is just NFC and Bluetooth, and it is powered by the hub right here. So you can see there's a separate port that has a little picture of the reader light on it, and that powers out with a Cat5e or Cat6 cable right into the back of this device. Finally, we have a really interesting piece of the puzzle here. So here's basically the back plate for the Reader Pro. You can see that you have a 2-inch hole that you can screw into the wall or just drill into the wall. This goes on the hole, and then this kind of screws in. See this here? The flap comes down, and then it screws tight up against the wall to hold it into place, and then there's a top screw as well. So that's how you do the actual installation. But this is also powered by the hub, okay? Which this is an interesting design choice because they have here separate outputs for the Pro reader and the Lite reader. Okay, so think about that for a second. Why would you need separate outputs for these? I mean, my guess is different power requirements. My other guess would be maybe there's some situations where you would be using both the Lite reader and the Pro reader for a single door. I'm not really sure. It almost seems like they could have basically just made one port for whichever reader you're using, because this thing is only good for one door, right? So if you have this on the outside, on your wall out in the elements, because this one is weatherproof, if you have this on the outside, I mean, it's a very rare situation where you have to scan to get into a door and then also scan to get out. But I guess maybe there are some cases where that's a thing. I don't know if you guys know, put that down in the comments below. But I mean, I've only ever worked with access control systems where you have a lock on one side of the door, but not both sides of the door. But again, that's a weird design choice that maybe that's why they did it. They're just trying to cover every base, I suppose, just like how they have so many different contacts for so many different types of door strikes or magnetic locks. All right, let's see what else comes in this box here. Looks like we have a, what is this? Oh, this is a separate back plate. Okay, so here's a separate back plate for the Pro reader. If you're not going to drill it into drywall, you could use this separate back plate. They probably also have a separate back plate. Oh, okay, so they have screws and drywall anchors for the Lite reader, and they also have a separate back plate for the Lite reader. And then over here on this side, basically we get the wall mount bracket for the hub, as well as 2 screws and some drywall anchors. All right, let's put that aside for now. Let's talk about one more interesting thing with the Pro reader. So a few years ago, Ubiquiti came out with this product called FrontRow. And FrontRow was essentially like a necklace type of thing that was exactly this form factor, right? So it was this form factor. It had a nice screen on it with the camera. It didn't have any NFC or Bluetooth capability like this does, but the point was that you kind of wear it around your neck. It also didn't have a PoE on the back. So you see it's basically this form factor, and then they added this section on the back, which is where the PoE is. It's probably where the NFC and Bluetooth stuff is as well. But you would wear this like around your neck, and you could essentially walk around and like live stream with this camera that you're wearing. So that product never really took off for Ubiquiti, as far as I know. At least I've never really heard much about it beyond the initial release of that product. And if you go to FrontRow.com, you can actually still see that device, and it looks like it's still an active product. But there's no association with Ubiquiti whatsoever on that website. And likewise, there's no mention of FrontRow whatsoever on the Ubiquiti website. So maybe you guys can tell me in the comments below. I haven't been keeping up with that product, but maybe did Ubiquiti like sell off the FrontRow product at some point, but they're still using the design? Maybe they owned the patent on the design, and then they sold off the FrontRow product to a different company or something. I really have no idea, but it looks like that's what they're doing, is basically just repurposing the FrontRow for their access devices, which is really, really interesting. Okay, so that's it for the UniFi Access sort of initial look here. I'm really curious about how this whole thing fits together, and I'm going to be learning the whole setup, right? I want to learn how all of this wires together. I want to learn about all of the configuration options and how to set up, you know, the cards for your employees, and how to, you know, schedule when employees can come and go, and take a look at the log files and set security alerts and all of that sort of stuff. I have not set up access at all at this point, so it'll be really interesting to dig in and learn. And if you guys have questions about this access solution, again, put those down in the comments below so that I can take a look at those, and I will specifically be looking out for the things you guys ask questions for, and then I'll cover those in a follow-up video, you know, in about a week or so. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more about UniFi Access or any of the other cool stuff that we cover on this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we will see you in the next video.